Now, live from the Patriot Detroit Radio Complex, this is the John McCulloch Show.
This plan is for the middle-class families in this country who deserve a break. It is for the families who are out there living paycheck to paycheck, who just keep getting squeezed. With this plan, we are getting rid of loopholes for special interests, and we are leveling the playing field. We're making things so simple that you can do your taxes on a form the size of a postcard. With this plan, we are making pro-growth reforms so that, yes, America can compete with the rest of the world. But we're also making it so that families like these that are here can have more take-home pay. This is it.
Now, here's John.
Welcome into the Thursday edition of the McCulloch Show here on FM 101.5 and AM 1400, The Patriot. Glad you could join us for the fastest hour in local Detroit talk radio, where your host continues serving his life sentence in reality. Be advised, here all lives matter. There is no political correctness. There are no safe zones for the snowflakes. And if you can be triggered, the chances are it will happen here. Glad you could be with us tonight. We've got a lot on the table, including the tax reform plan that has been received, obviously, with mixed reviews. There's some people who are railing that it's all just for a big business and for the rich. And there's some who are saying it's a great plan for wage earners and for the middle class. And I thought, well, let's get somebody in here. And granted, it's short notice, and I'm sure he hadn't had a chance to completely read the whole thing. But Maurice Rose formed Abraham and Rose after working as a tax attorney for Coopers and Lybrand. And at Coopers, he worked with the High Net Worth Individuals Group, where he assisted in the planning of many multi-million-dollar estates. He joined Coopers after working with the international and famous Detroit law firm of Dickinson Wright. He has a degree, a JD degree from the University of Michigan School of Law, the University of Michigan Graduate School of Business, where he earned an MBA, and he has studied both business and individual tax planning and compliance. He's also an adjunct professor of law at Wayne State University Law School, and he's asked to comment on many television and radio shows, including this one. Maurice, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Well, after that introduction, I even want to hear what I have to say.
Well, so do I. You've looked at it. Well, what's your general view of how Joe Lunchbucket like me the wage earner, is going to fare from some of the features of the plan?
Well, from what I've been able to learn so far, I think it's a good example. Like you said, it's mixed. 2 or 3 steps forward and a step back. And here's what I mean. I think generally the simplicity in rates, the cutting in rates, the more take-home pay is going to be wonderful for the economy. It's going to stimulate the economy. I'm a big trickle-down guy. I believe that tax cuts across the board will have impact on everybody, not just on the government revenue. It's happened under Reagan and happened under Kennedy, but under the typical Joe Lunchbucket guy, as you mentioned, he's going to be with more take-home pay, and that's all good. However, I think at the end of the day, when I see deductions going away, most notably the state and local income tax deduction, that worries me a little bit, because I pick up, the vibe tells me that it's still elements of this class warfare in Washington, but they have to do something to show, well, we're not being pro-rich, even though it is those upper income and they're going to help create the jobs. And there's no such thing as a tax break for just the rich, because that does impact people at all ends of the socioeconomic ladder.
So you think they're going to be able to sell this idea that, the way I try to explain it is, I never got a job from a poor guy. It's always been somebody who's got more money than me that hires me. And for that reason, I want them to get all the breaks that they possibly can legally without harming what happens to me. And that message, I'm not sure the way it's written now is going to get across.
I agree with that. I think there's some good things in there. And ultimately, whenever you can have any kind of a growth that's tax stimulated, I think long-term it's going to benefit everyone. But as I believe I heard, it was Newt Gingrich I was saying, being practically focused here, realistically, is it the best bill that we could hope for? People maybe who believe in this kind of a trickle-down Reaganomics? No. But is it one of the better options that could have passed in this Congress when you have people that are more of the left wing of the Republican spectrum, especially in the Senate? This might be the best that they can do. So it's not a terrible package. But I think that at the end of the day, it is mixed because there are definitely things in there to allow for more take-home pay, more stimulation of the economy. But at the same time, when they're taking away deductions like that state and local income tax deduction, now I understand why that's done, because when you have higher income states like New York and California, that's basically a wealth redistribution from state and federal interests there because they're deducting it from their federal taxes. But now, by closing that, some of those kind of more liberal states aren't going to be happy with it, and I get that. But I think at the end of the day, any kind of a tax cut is going to be a good thing. And if this is the best that they can get, then so be it. Is it the best that could be gotten? Maybe in theory, probably not, but in practice, I don't know.
And of course, it still could undergo changes before it goes to a final vote. Some of the things that aren't getting as much attention as what you and I have just been talking about, it extends the 529 savings program, which currently people who are sending kids to college can use, but they're extending it to K through 12. Did you happen to catch that in there?
I knew that there were more incentives when it came for that or retirement plans, but I'm not up to speed on those provisions.
Okay, well, what it does actually is if I want to send my second or third grader to a Lutheran school, I can participate in the 529 program too. Currently, you can't, and or if I just want to send them to any other private school, I can. But if you're not familiar with it, we don't need to talk about it. This tax-free entrepreneurship, so it's called, full expensing. Can you explain how important that is to businesses?
Well, the more economic flexibility that any kind of an entrepreneur or a job creator would have, the more money that's in his pocket, naturally, that the person has that drive or the ambition to try to make the business bigger, to try to be more successful. They can only do that with the help of the other people around them, with the help of a bigger economy. By being able to take away other expenses and allowing other dollars to be reinvested in his or her business enterprise, those dollars can be used to buy other equipment, to hire more workers, to grow their business. And yes, with luck, the rich get richer, but the middle class will get richer too. And the lower ends of the tax spectrum, everyone at the rising level of ocean, whatever the metaphor is. That generally, the more of those tax dollars, that's why it's an incentive. That's why tax cuts are pro-growth, and that allows those extra dollars to be freed up for those kinds of things, which will stimulate the economy.
I guess it's the rising tide raises all boats. I think that's
there you go.
Okay. Now, the estate tax exemption currently, and I forget what it is, doesn't affect me, but it's doubling, and then the estate tax, the death tax so-called, disappears after 5 years, which I think is a wonderful thing for families, small farmers, and other people who and a guy owns a hardware store. Maybe he's got 2 or 3 of them. He's expanded it. The federal government comes in upon his death and appraises it, and he owes, or the family owes, X number of millions of dollars in taxes. They don't have it, so they got to sell the business and liquidate it in order to pay the tax bill, which doesn't seem to make much sense. It eliminates their ability to pass that on to the next generation. That's going away. Good idea or bad?
Excellent idea, because first of all, when he's talking about making sense and the tax code are two completely different terms, but definitely a good idea, because the one other factor that goes in is year after year, those businesses, as they were growing, they were paying income taxes, maybe even paying income taxes at the corporate level and at the individual level. So all of those earnings, if you will, have been taxed. It's not tax-free. They've been taxed along the way. And then when you have something, which, like you said, a business that could be maybe asset-rich and cash poor, where on paper it could be worth a lot of money, whether it's a family farm, whether it's those hardware stores that you mentioned, might not have the cash flow to be able to make payments. And that's another good end of this job, of this tax package as well, the cutting of the corporate rates. All of those things now, that rate being reduced to 20%, that will, again, allow more dollars for those entrepreneurs and for those small businesses to be able to reinvest in themselves and hopefully help everyone's economic situation out.
We're talking with Maurice Rose, founder and partner in Abraham and Rose. And one last question for you, Maurice, and you can answer this or not. I've been hearing a lot from people, H&R Block types and other tax preparers, that this whole idea of being able to file your income tax on no bigger than a postcard is going to put a lot of those folks, thousands of them, out of business. You see that happening?
It's hard to predict. All businesses change and adapt. Whether it's a driverless car, what's that going to do to the automobile industry? All industries have to adapt to be able to survive. My industry, for example, is the same thing. I represent taxpayers who have problems paying their taxes. Well, does this mean that there's going to be fewer customers to go around because taxes are going to be cut? I don't know. But everything has to adapt and to change, and there's going to be tax planning, whether it's for estate planning, whether it's those more higher dollar cases. And knowing the level of bureaucracy that I see in a day in and a day out basis dealing with the IRS, I'm highly suspect of the fact of anything being so simple when the government's involved. It just doesn't work that way.
Well, I really appreciate you joining us today, Maurice, to give us an overview and a good insight into at least your first pass at the new tax reform plan. Let's have you back after they start massaging it and they start changing things, and we'll talk again. How's that?
I'd love it. It's a privilege and a pleasure.
Great. Maurice Rose with Abraham and Rose. Thanks for being with us. And again, we will be talking again about this. If you'd like to comment on what you know currently about what's going on with the tax plan, feel free to give us a call. 800-923-9385. That's 800-923-WDTK. You can also reach us via text. If you have I just got a text from somebody that said they just now downloaded the app from their app store, and they had to send me a text. That's why they downloaded the app. And it's that simple. But from the time we were on till now, they've had a chance to do that. I've had a chance to open it up and read it and give it to you. So it's that simple to do. Just go to your phone's app store and search WDTK. When you find it, download it, install it, and then you'll see all the great features. And it doesn't take long to do it. It's free. It doesn't take up much room on your phone. And you'll get all the fine Salem hosts and their programs static free, and you'll get their podcasts and versions of their earlier programs. You get the McCulloch Minutes there on there, and you also can scroll down and come to a spot that says Text John McCulloch. When you get to that spot, you send me a text, and it comes in here to this screen that I'm pointing at now for the benefit of the folks watching on Facebook Live, and I see them right there, and they come in really fast. They're in real time, instantaneous, and I do read every text that I get. I don't comment on all of them, and if you saw them, you'd understand why. But it's a great app to have, and I hope that as many of you get it, and as many of you can, use it. It's a great addition to the program. Okay, our telephone number is 800-923-9385, which most of you seem to have discovered. The subject is what you know about the tax reform plan as written, or as you've seen it. And we'll be getting to the phones as they line up and get cleared here on The John McCulloch Show on FM 101.5 and AM 1400, The Patriot. If you want to find out how to make money and you want to make money yourself, you go to somebody who's made a lot of money and you ask them how they did it, and then you just go and do what they did. Now, that sounds simple, but it is. It really is a simple plan, and it does work. And it's kind of the backbone of what they do at Online Trading Academy, because what they do there is when you enroll in their permanent campus in Southfield, they contract with people from all over the country who are in the business of making money on the stock market, whether it's going up or whether it's going down. These are proven, the people that have made a lot of money doing that, and they take a certain part of their time out of each year, and they come to Online Trading Academy and teach you what they did. In other words, these professionals come in and teach you what they did to make money, whether the market was going up or down. If that sounds interesting, you'd like a little extra money, you'd like to extend your spending capabilities, or you'd like to add to your retirement or whatever, I think you should do what I did and attend a free 3-hour power trading workshop on investment and trading and find out how these professionals do it. Again, it's free, and they make many money whether the market's going up or down. Find out how they did that. I can't think of time that you could spend better. Give them a call. Reserve your spot. 844-250-8723. That's Online Trading Academy, 844-250-8723. Or you can just go to the John McCulloch page at patriotdetroit.com. All my advertisers are listed there, including Online Trading Academy, and the number's right there for you. 844-250-8723. You'll be glad you did.
Now, on-time traffic and weather on the Patriot.
18 mile between Mound Road and M53, Van Dyke Avenue closed due to an accident. I-75 southbound before Rochester Road, accident left lane, slowing from Crooks. M8 the Davison westbound after Woodward, accident left shoulder. I-696 eastbound between I-75 and Cousins Avenue, the left lane closed for construction. Traffic is slowing back to Greenfield. M39, the Southfield northbound ramp to Grand River, is closed due to construction through November 13th. Slowdowns in a lot of the usual spots. I-75 northbound between Mack Avenue and 12 Mile, heavy traffic. I-75 northbound between M59 and Jocelyn Road, also heavy. Your weather forecast tonight: showers mainly before 5 a.m., a low around 44. Friday, a chance of showers, and before 8 a.m., mostly cloudy with a high near 52. Friday night, partly cloudy, a low around 38. And right now, it's 60 degrees. I'm Kevin Sanderson on the Patriot, FM 101.5 and AM 1400.
Dr. Richard Klein is a specially educated neuromuscular dentist with over 30 years' experience managing TMJ and sleep apnea disorders at the Michigan Head and Neck Institute. We're very lucky to have him here right in Warren because he lectures all over the world. He's in demand all over the world, all over the United States. The medical community wants him to come and talk to them, and he teaches in medical school, even here in southeast Michigan. The government always is after him to talk to him about one thing or another having to do with obstructive sleep apnea because they're taking a great interest in it, what with the accidents we've been having in public transportation. And here he is right here in Warren and available to you. Now, to find out if you need to talk to him, he has a website, and it's tmjmichigan.com. tmjmichigan.com. At that website are listed symptoms of TMJ and sleep disorder and sleep apnea. And the reason he maintains that website is that these ailments mimic the symptoms of so many other ailments. So go there to tmjmichigan.com and check it out. Check the symptoms that are there. If they match symptoms of something that has been bothering you, all the information is right there at tmjmichigan.com to contact Dr. Richard Klein for an evaluation appointment at the Michigan Head and Neck Institute. tmjmichigan.com for Dr. Richard Klein. Please let him know John McCulloch sent you.
Are you interested in finding a high school that helps students prepare for college and life with an education that's both scholarly and spiritual? Divine Child is a Catholic co-ed high school with faith formation and theology programs, over 35 honors and AP courses, nationally recognized fine arts programs, and a new state-of-the-art athletic complex. Learn more at our open house on Sunday, November 5th, or visit divinechildhighschool.org. Divine Child, where students learn responsibility, leadership, and faith in action.
The John McCulloch Show is brought to you in part by Cruz Hearing Aid Services.
Our telephone number is 800-923-9385. We're talking about the tax reform plan, which I happen to think is pretty good. Doesn't have everything I would have wanted to see in it, but it's pretty good. And it's going to mean some money in my pocket. It's going to mean, if you're a wage earner, it's going to mean some money in your pocket. And, you know, I heard Blabbermouth Schultz or Debbie, somebody from Michigan going on about there's nothing in this thing for the poor. Come on. Give me a break. 50% of the people in this country don't pay any taxes at all. How are you going to give them a tax break? Ridiculous. Anyway, let's get to the phones. 800-923-9385. Here's Dee in Fort Myers, Florida on the Patriot. Hi, Dee.
Hi, and I used to listen to you years back, and I'm happy to be able to stream you on my Apple phone.
Well, I'm happy that you could do it, too.
I am in Lake Orion in the summer, though. I do want to say that if the top states, California, Illinois, New York, Massachusetts, probably some of those, they will, if they are not allowed to deduct from our federal taxes, it will put $1.3 trillion into our coffers. Now, that is just going to be fabulous. This will finally, get the states to realize that this is a big loss to the federal government.
Well, it's a loss to the federal government. It's a loss to us because we have to subsidize it. That money comes from somewhere. It comes from us. Government.
But
Go ahead.
But our property taxes here are nothing compared to, and of course Florida doesn't have a state income tax. But those big money producers with the $1 trillion homes, they're the ones that will be footing the bill for this.
As well they should.
As well they should, yeah. If somebody has to, like they said, how are we going to pay for this? That is one of the big ways we will be able to pay for this tax cut to working middle-class people like most of us here.
Right, Dee. And anytime you hear somebody say, why do we have to pay for a tax, or how are we going to pay for the tax cut? Why do we have to pay for the tax cut is my question to them. Why can't government just do with a little bit less? Like we have to do.
You guys cut back. Absolutely.
Thanks for your call, Dee.
I love listening to you. Thanks so much.
Appreciate your calling from Fort Myers, Florida. 800-923. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because I've got other things I want to get to. So if you want to talk about the tax plan, you better get in here quick. 800-923-9385. Here's Bruce in Grosse Pointe Farms on the Patriot. Hi, Bruce.
Hey, John. Hi. I wanted to comment a little bit about the terrorist attack in New York, but the tax thing, it works for me. Yeah, I'm very. I think from what I've seen, it looks pretty good. You know, what I heard today was that I'm not sure I didn't catch the name of the organization that does the analysis. But if this thing goes through, we could be looking at a fourth quarter GDP growth of 4.5%.
Yeah.
That's amazing to me. You know, but I think the Republicans, I hate to say this, but I think they're going to find a way to screw things up on this. And because I think they're still scared of the class warfare rhetoric that Bernie Sanders and Chuck Schumer and Elizabeth Warren and all the other usual suspects on the other side of the aisle are so happy to employ. And this is where Paul Ryan and Mitch McCulloch, they've got to get some backbone, and they've got to say, look, you know, this is extremely important to the American people. People are hurting. They're hurting through Obamacare. They're hurting through paying higher taxes and this type of thing. And there's still a lot of unnecessary regulation that businesses have to go through. So yeah, I'm on balance. I'm all for this, and I just hope Trump can get it done by they can get it done by Thanksgiving, which is when Trump wants it on his desk.
I agree, Bruce. Thanks for the call.
Okay, no problem. Have a great weekend, my friend.
You do the same. Here's Ken in Shelby Township on the Patriot. Hi, Ken.
Hey, John, you know, this whole tax discussion, the way you can neutralize this whole thing with the class warfare, I was doing some research on this recently in terms of which are the most favorable countries in the world when it comes to friendly toward business. One of them is Estonia, which has no business taxes, and their growth literally exploded as a result of that. But the other one that surprised me was Sweden. And why do you think that is?
I do not know.
Here's the reason. Countries like Sweden and Norway, they're welfare states, but they're not socialist, which means they don't believe in punishing business. You don't have politicians like Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren telling us we got to get these business people, we got to increase their... No, because they realize low taxes and low government regulation on corporations is what employs people. And when you employ people, guess what? You have citizens who are paying taxes to support the welfare state. So that's why they're so friendly to business there, because they have figured it out. And I don't advocate we go into a welfare state, because those people who accept that will never be entrepreneurs themselves, because the government confiscates so much of their wealth. All they have room for is a 1,000-square-foot apartment and maybe eating and drinking or whatever, but they can't live a progressive life, whereas they can go out there and start their own businesses. But they know they depend on business for their livelihood, for their jobs, and for their ability to pay taxes. They are extremely business-friendly for that reason. Isn't that a paradox?
It is. And thank you for sharing.
But it makes sense.
It sure does. Thank you. Enjoy the call, Ken. Always appreciate it when you call. Folks, we have a bit of a problem with all this. And I don't know how many of you have read about this. I've read about it in 3 or 4 different publications today. But there have been some polls done of the millennials. And 50% of millennials, 50% of millennials think that communism/socialism looks pretty good. Now, on the other side of that, you've got 82% of the working public is now saying that the American dream is on its way back, that they feel that they have their chance at the American dream. And the stock market is up, things are going well, and you've still got this 50% of millennials think that the communism looks pretty good. How would, I'm going to put you in charge for a minute. How would you solve that problem? Because these 50% of millennials who believe this, who are leaning toward communism/socialism, have been taught this somewhere. And we all know where. Grade school, high school, and in college if they've gone to college. But we also know it doesn't work. How do we convince these 50% of millennials? Now, wait, I got to put a caveat in here. It could be they're just lazy and they just don't want to work. And that's what makes communism look so good to them, because they think, well, gee, everybody's going to have the same amount. All the food we need is going to be there and blah, blah, blah. We need to send them over to a country and let them see. But how can we get to those people who are going to be really roadblocks down the road as the baby boom generation begins to die off and not vote? Millennials will be, making up the majority of the voting public. How do we get to them? By example? By making this whole thing work? Some way, somehow, we need to get to them, and that statistic is real. It's not something I just pulled out of my hat, which I don't have. 50% of millennials lean toward communism, socialism as the way to go. How do we get that turned around? What can we do feasibly now that things are starting to kick, and they are? Factory production is up. We've got companies that are coming back from being overseas, and with this, if this 20% tax rate goes through, you're going to see more and more of them come back. Donald Trump is doing what he knows how to do, and he's doing it well. How do we get them on board? Just by example? Or is there some other way? A deep question. You're welcome to answer it. 800-923-9385. That's 800-923-WDTK. We'll let the lines light up on this one, and we'll talk about it. Or, if you don't believe that, as 82% of the people do, that the American dream is back, I'm talking about working people now, you can talk about that too. If you want to bring us down a little bit. Fine with me. 800-923-9385 as we continue here on FM 101.5 and AM 1400, The Patriot. When I go and visit the people at Cruz Hearing, I'm always astounded at the number of people who are in there for a variety of different reasons. Some are in there just to be reassured that everything's working okay. That's fine with Felix and Joshua, that they, because you wear something that's a hearing correction instrument for any length of time and you get used to it. You wonder, well, is it doing what it's supposed to do? Well, sure, just come on in. They'll be happy to check it. Or maybe somebody's there to get a hearing aid fix that they didn't even buy from Cruz Hearing. Well, that's okay, too, because they fix almost any brand that's made on the planet. Some people are there for the first time, and they're nervous, and they feel self-conscious because this is their first time, and they've made that step, but it's still, it's a hard one to make, and it's a hard one after you make it. It takes a while to get used to it. But there's all this going on, and there's Felix and Joshua, calm as cucumbers, and just talking to people and getting the job done. There's no high-pressure selling going on. kind of the doors are all open kind of thing, so that unless you want a private consultation, so that you can hear that there's no hard selling going on. It just doesn't happen. It's just a great place to go if you are interested in your hearing, and you should be. But again, the hardest thing to do is to make that first phone call, if you're a first-timer, to get in there and get measured and get tested and find out if you do need some kind of hearing correction. It's a hard thing to do. I suggest you do it. It will change your life if you need hearing correction. 877-456-2789. There's 2 locations. Joshua's downriver in Taylor, and Felix is in Farmington Hills. You can reach both locations at this one number, 877-456-2789. That's 877-456-CRUISE. 877-456-2789. Please let them know you heard about it from John McCulloch.
Now, on-time traffic, news, and weather on the Patriot.
18 mile between Mound Road and M53 Van Dyke Avenue closed due to an accident. It's going to be closed for a while. I-75 southbound before Rochester Road, an accident on the right shoulder slowing from Crooks. M8, the Davison westbound after Woodward, accident left shoulder. I-696 eastbound between I-75 and Cousins, the left lane closed for construction. Traffic is slow back to Greenfield. M39, the Southfield northbound ramp to Grand River, is closed for construction through November 13th. Slowdowns in the usual spots. Heavy traffic on I-75 northbound between Clay and 12 Mile Road. I-75 northbound between M59 and Baldwin is heavy. I-75 southbound between 14 Mile and 696, heavy traffic. And 275 between 8 Mile and M14 I-96, the Jeffries. Southbound traffic is slowing there. Your weather forecast tonight: showers mainly before 5 a.m., a low around 44. Friday, a chance of showers before 8 a.m., mostly sunny with a high near 52. Friday night, partly cloudy, a low around 38. Right now, 60 degrees. From the townhall.com newsroom, the family of a Detroit man shot to death during a robbery Wednesday is asking for help in finding the suspects. James Haller was a 75-year-old retired General Motors worker who was the manager of an auto parts store on Schaefer Highway near 6 Mile. Surveillance video shows 2 women coming into the store and moments later announcing a robbery. They were taking cash as Haller came out from the back of the store and he was forced to the ground at gunpoint. The armed woman turned around just before leaving and shot him in the head. The victim's daughter believes someone can recognize the women and hopes they will call police. The federal investigation into the money used to fund United Auto Workers training centers has expanded to Ford Motor Company and General Motors. The Detroit News says authorities are looking into how money was allocated in the wake of the corruption case against the former Fiat Chrysler labor executive and the widow of a former UAW vice president. I'm Kevin Sanderson on the Patriot, FM 101.5 at AM 1400.
Hey, Warrior fans, Sean Belegian here, cordially inviting you to join us for the last home game of the year. A momentous occasion always. It's Senior Day. We bid these seniors adieu as the Warriors host Northern Michigan. Your pregame show starts at 11:30 with Josh Rennell, Ashley Cassavant, and me. We have the kickoff shortly afternoon right here on your home for the Warriors, FM 101.5 and AM 1400, The Patriot.
The John McCulloch Show is sponsored in part by AzerTech Public Adjusters.
FM 101.5, AM 1400, The Patriot. We're discussing this distressing news about the millennials and their belief in communism. 50% of millennials think life would be better in a communist country. And, you know, I'm tempted to say, well, okay, just go there if you think it'd be so great. But that's not, I don't think that's a reaction that's productive. But what do we do? Because eventually, they're going to be a lot more of a majority than they are now. Right now, the baby boomers are the majority, but the baby boomers are, you know, they're not going to be around forever. And these millennials, I don't know if they're going to be working. Maybe they'll get the gist of what we're talking about, but maybe they're just too used to not working. I don't know. How do we change this? How did we let this communist thinking infiltrate our learning systems, our political systems, social systems? And how do we turn that around? John in Novi, you're next on the Patriot. Go ahead.
Thanks for taking my call, John.
Sure.
This reminds me of something that I know you don't like me bringing up other shows.
So don't do it.
Oh, doggone it, John! It's such a perfect example.
Just don't.
Can I use a TV host, a former TV host, a former presidential candidate?
Okay.
All right, thank you. When Mike Huckabee had a show on Fox, he had Richard Dreyfuss on, who is a liberal. But he brought out the point that today's culture, today's youth, they're not taught to believe in America. He's an old-style liberal, which basically means to me politics ends at the water's edge. And you know, my country, right or wrong, but it's my country. You're taught to believe in the country. And how do I propose that? Have some national service. And I'm not necessarily talking about, you know, the military in and of itself, although that's a worthy goal. But I don't care if it's picking up beer cans along the roadside or cleaning out the Rouge River or something. You're taught to be part of something larger than yourself, and you owe time to your country, to the state. I'll tell you something from 45, better part of 50 years ago. Something about when we went to the all-volunteer Army. I had some classes at McCulloch, and one of the instructors, who was a former advisor to Mayor Roman Gribbs, that's how far back that goes, said it's a bad thing for the volunteer Army. And I said, why, Jim? He said, because when the citizen is no longer required to give service to the state and you go to the professional army, the whole society becomes, you know, in effect more selfish or more self-centered. And they don't, you know, they're not taught to think of anything larger than themselves. Well, that was a very prescient comment looking back on it.
Well, yeah, but you're still talking statism. And
Well, I'm talking about being part of something larger than you. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, I'm not a militant fascist. I'm talking about something where you're taught that you owe time to your country.
I'm not sure how I feel about that, John. I'm going to have to think about it. Appreciate the call. I'm pretty sure I don't like it. That's my first impression. You know, I could be changed, I think. Thanks for the call. Here's Don in Dearborn on the Patriot. Hey, Don.
Hey, John, I got a solution for you. When I went to college many moons ago, the college was relatively cheap. Now it's like impossible for somebody that's not wealthy. And my solution is, these people, the millennials, they're very depressed. They don't see any way out. They can't get an education because they can't afford it. So our government pays trillions and trillions of dollars a year in spending. All they got to do is take a fraction of that and make a college education free for anybody that wants to have it, as well as remedial education free. And in 4 years, 5 years, we're going to have the most educated population on the planet. Anybody can be able to get a job. They won't feel depressed, and they'll improve their way of life, because education is power, and power is money. What you think?
Nope. But, Don, a free college education for everybody. Everybody doesn't need a college education. Not everybody can handle a college education.
But at least they'll be able to achieve their goals, whatever they want to do.
Well, you need to clean out the swamp that is the college faculty right now in the United States of America. Sending them to college now would just turn them into bigger communists. I appreciate the call. You see the problem? It ain't as simple as, some would think it is. Each little plan has a whole lot of drawbacks. Here's Kathy in Livonia on the Patriot. Hi, Kathy.
Hi, John. Thanks for taking my call. Can you hear me?
Sure.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make a comment about your last caller. I mean, what he was trying to say, the first thing that came to mind to me is ask not what you can do for your country, ask what you can do for your country. I just think that maybe you were taking it the wrong way. That's what I heard.
Well, the quote that I remember was, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Oh, right. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm in the middle of traffic or driving. I said it wrong.
Believe me, I know
you got
the
the
feeling.
point.
Yeah, I got the point. I'm still on the edge with it. Okay?
I just think that the millennials are a little too self-centered, and I agree with them. That's all.
Okay. I appreciate your call.
No problem.
Be careful.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a safe drive home. Okay. One last thing we're going to discuss today. It's going to be one of those quickies. This guy who's in the hospital in New York, who killed 8 people, 8 innocent people who were just out having a nice time on a sunny day in New York, wants an ISIS flag in his room. He's proud of what he did. Do you think there's any possibility that the way we're treating these people, these terrorists, is asking for more? Do you think they'd be as brave and as willing to do what they're doing if we took the guy out and dumped him in the street and ran him over with a car just like he did to 8 other people? Now, I know that sounds really far out and really drastic, but he has the nerve, and we have the nerve to cover it in the news, to ask for an ISIS flag in his hospital room where he's recovering from wounds delivered by a hero who stopped the carnage. And I'm just saying, after 8 years of coddling under the Obama administration, coddling the Muslim Brotherhood, that's the seed, the spawn of all this, and the seeming willingness of any Tom, Dick, or Harry who's got a Koran to come up and attack us, is putting them in a hospital room and giving them an ISIS flag the way to handle this? (800-923-9385). That's 800-923-WDTK. I'm not real sure that it is. I'm not sure this coddling is sending the right message. I'm not trying to overturn jurisprudence in our country, don't get me wrong. But come on. The fact that he even has the nerve to ask for the flag is disgusting. Isn't it? Of course, if you're not part of the extended family of the 8 people, I guess maybe you're like a lot of Americans, you don't really care that much. I don't know. FM 101.5, AM 1400, The Patriot. This X chair that I'm sitting in is really something else. And if you haven't seen the X chair, well, you can see it if you're watching on Facebook, but you can't get the full idea of it. It's got all kinds of adjustments on it and all sorts of posture adjustments and so forth. And I really feel good when I get out of the chair. I feel good when I'm sitting in the chair. It increases productivity, makes you feel a whole lot better. And it's a great office chair. And it combines the...
I'm your spokesmodel for
Facebook
Live. Ooh, it's a beautiful chair.
Isn't it?
Look how it moves.
And see how it
Look how it cradles and
see
supports.
how it supports my lumbar area.
Ooh, nice lumbar, John.
So, folks.
Oh, Facebook Live.
You go to Facebook Live to see it. And then go to myxchair.com right now. That's my and then the letter X and then chair.com. Not only will they knock $100 off the price, they're even going to throw in a footrest, which is an amazing footrest. It really is. All you got to do is use the promo code John. Just go to myxchair.com right now. I love my X-Chair. I think you will too. And just go to myxchair.com, use the promo code John, and see what I mean. I think you'll be very glad you did.
Now, on-time traffic and weather on the Patriot.
18 mile between Mound and M53 Van Dyke closed due to an accident that's going to be there for a while. 696 eastbound before Coolidge, an overturned vehicle in the left lane and wreck around the scene. Slow from Greenfield. 696 eastbound between I-75 and Cousins. The left lane closed for construction and traffic is slow back to Coolidge. I-75 southbound before Rochester Road. That accident cleared. M8 to Davison westbound after Woodward, that accident cleared as well. M39, the Southfield northbound ramp to Grand River is closed for construction going on through November 13th. Your weather forecast tonight, showers, possibly a thunderstorm before 2 a.m., then a chance of showers, a low around 44. Friday, mostly sunny with a high near 51. Friday night, partly cloudy, a low around 38. Right now, it's 60 degrees. We update traffic and weather 4 times an hour. I'm Kevin Sanderson on the Patriot. FM 101.5 and AM 1400.
There's a liberal researcher who says the science is unequivocal. Children do best if moms stay home with them for the first 3 years of life. We'll talk to her next time on the MedVed Show. And on Thursday, the Republicans released their long-awaited tax cut bill in full detail. And we'll hear from Speaker Paul Ryan about how it helps the country next time on the MedVed Show.
Michael Medved, weekday evenings at 7 on The Patriot.
MotorCityHelpWanted.com salutes the employee of the month, the one employee you can't live without. The others, let's just call them Dave.
Dave, are you stealing from the vending machine?
No, Mr. Employee of the Month.
Well, your desk is littered with like hundreds of snacks.
I merely exposed a loophole by reaching my arm through the flap thingy. Does that sound like stealing to you?
Yes.
Granola bar?
If you don't mind hiring Daves, go to the national job boards. They may be free, but trust us, they'll cost you. We make it easy to post a job, and it's local, so you won't get spammed by faraway job seekers. MotorCityHelpWanted.com. Local jobs that work.
The John McCulloch Show is sponsored in part by Greg Chiropractic Life Centers.
FM 101.5 and AM 1400, The Patriot. And Steve comes in here and gets my little thing all... Anyway, so glad to see Steve and was glad to have him help with a demo of the X-Chair. There's Dennis in Waterford on The Patriot. Hey, Dennis.
Good evening, John. Three short comments. One, I love your show. Been listening to you since you started.
Well, thank you.
Comment number 2, if you listen to the mainstream media, it's the truck that killed everybody. And I don't know how a truck can kill anybody. It's the idiot behind the wheel. And number 3, I think we should give him a flag on a great big flagpole, set fire to it, and stick it where the sun don't shine.
Interesting idea. I have another guy here. Another guy sent me a text that says we just give him the flag, hang him with it.
Yeah, that'll work too.
So you think...
Great show as always, John.
You think we've been coddling him a little too much, huh?
Oh, God, it sickens me.
Appreciate the call.
I agree with you. If we started treating them like they need to be treated, maybe they wouldn't be so anxious to do those kind of things.
I'm just saying. Thanks for the call, Dennis. I appreciate it. I'm just saying. If what they understand is death and violence, then haven't we proven over the last number of years that by being nice, that by kowtowing to them, that by trying to reason with them, by trying to find out why they're mad at us, and all these other wonderful things full of platitudes, and none of it's worked? Have we actually tried what I'm suggesting here? Well, I got to figure out what I'm suggesting.
Can health insurance be more human, more compassionate? Can it be healthier? It's up to us to show our corner of the world how, and it starts with putting people first, a task we take deeply to heart. That's why we don't see our members as numbers. They're our neighbors, and we care about their health as much as they do. At Priority Health, we have 996,000 reasons to offer Michigan the best health insurance possible, and we care about every single one. Priority Health, a healthier approach to healthcare. They're moms and dads, sons and daughters, business owners, volunteers, friends, and neighbors. They're young, old, and somewhere in between. They're people from all walks of life, each on their own journey. There are 996,000 unique reasons why Priority Health works to offer Michigan the best health insurance possible. Because we care about our members' health as much as they do. Priority Health, a healthier approach to healthcare.
MyPillow.com and promo code WDTK will get you 2 MyPillows for the price of 1. It's the best promotion I think they had. It was the first one we had, and I really thank Mike Lindell for bringing it back. You know you want one. I don't know what's holding you back. MyPillow.com, promo code WDTK, and you too can start sleeping the way nature intended.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Promo code WDTK. Here's Gary in Hazel Park on the Patriot. Hi, Gary.
Hey, John. I think this guy's a classic case, the guy in New York, for a case for waterboarding. Let's take him down there and find out what he knows, because we know he had friends.
Yeah, he had friends. Matter of fact, they put an ad in the paper. Now they're looking for one of them. And the thing that gets me is that you know that they know they can game the system when just by the fact that they ask for an ISIS flag to hang in their hospital room. So anytime somebody tries to film him or take a picture for the news or whatever, there'll be an ISIS flag there.
Tell you what, he can have his flag the minute Haley puts the flag back above the South Carolina State House.
I know that. I know where you're going with that. I'm trying to see how I can attach the two together in some sort of cohesive and coherent way. And this late in the show and this late in the day, my cohesiveness and coherence is, while still there, to be sure, operating at a minimum. And so I'll try to figure that one out as I eat my late dinner tonight, Gary, and I thank you very much for the call. Yeah, waterboard him, find out what he knows, and then take it from there. Thanks to Tiffany Little for engineering and call screening tonight. Steve Dealey is our producer and chair demonstrator and model. Thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. Thank you for texting. And thank you for watching. I'm John McCulloch. And until we talk tomorrow at 5:30 for an early edition of Open Mouth Friday, have as good a night as you can.
The John McCulloch Show is sponsored in part by Dr. Richard Klein of Michigan Head and Neck, Greg Chiropractic Life Center, Azertech Public Adjusters, Cruise Hearing Aid Centers, and Online Trading Academy. The John McCulloch Show.
I don't know what we're yelling about!
The Patriot.